Warning, the Shekel Up Podcast is a podcast created by two ex-degenerates that think they know sports gambling and spent their younger days breaking bookies and never hedging. We are not experts on anything, and everything we say should be taken with a grain of salt. We do not condone illegal sports gambling, and all gambling should be done responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Now enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Shekel Up Podcast, where we try to help you navigate the eternal abyss of the always stressful, mostly toxic, but very entertaining world of sports and sports betting. I'm one of the hosts for today, Anthony, and with me I have the guys from Made on Ridgeway, Hunter Keister.
Woo, let's get it. College football. Woo, let's go.
And, of course, K-Mac.
The one and only, man. Let's go.
All right, and the Risley Bear.
What up? What up? College football is back. Let's go.
Yeah, so I guess, we're gonna play this once. Okay, we're gonna play this once, and then hopefully I won't have to play it again. But it's just because they're coming in, they're about to be strippers. They're going to be some strippers on a pole because they're getting, I don't know, some about, being stripped of because of all that cheating. But here you go. All right, that's enough. Anyway, I don't know. I was reading on some. It was just funny. I don't think it's true. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. But they were saying that some things might be coming down for Michigan. But I think that was some Ohio.
You fell for that bait too, Tony?
No, maybe. I don't know.
You fell for that bait?
Listen, if it's on Facebook, and Twitter, then it's real. It's true, right? We're on Facebook and Twitter, and everything we say is true.
Look at little Tony over here, believing the little fake pages that they make. That's Tony. Funny. That's funny. Come on, Tony.
Listen.
Come on, Tony. Come on.
No. Anyway, no, they deserve it. I'm not. Hey, listen. I had Michigan winning the whole thing. I said that when the playoffs hit. I wasn't a hater. I had Michigan winning the whole thing. So, just saying. I'm just saying. That's me. So, but yeah, no, it is back. It is in full effect, and this is what this episode is going to be about today. It is the CFB, the college football. I don't want to say NCAA because, again, they're crooks. It's the mafia. They only care about themselves. It's like the NCAA is like a dad who knocked up a stripper. Speaking of strippers, we were just talking about it. And then just totally ignoring his responsibilities. That's what the NCAA is. I mean, they produce all this talent, and they, ride on the backs of these kids. And then they come around like that kind of dad once a kid makes it big. And comes in and says, like the water boy. Remember, his dad came around after he, blew up in college football. And
right.
Then, the NCAA is the water boy's dad.
Wow.
That is pretty much.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. The NCAAs are crook, right? Can we agree that NCAA and the only reason why that they're doing the NIL stuff now is because they got so much backlash for suspending these kids and taking their awards when they're a multi-billion-dollar business. That's what they are. They don't do anything.
That's what the NIL went to. Now we got Oklahoma State players wearing decals on the back of their helmet to give to their NIL deal.
And what's wrong with that? Are you get off my lawn, guy?
Bro, listen. How can if you go to a playoff game, and you go to a big time game, you're dropping like at least $300 on a ticket, and we're talking for only the nosebleed sections. Even to go downtown, even to get to the 50-yard line, you're spending at least $2,000. I don't say nothing to nobody about money. I don't know nothing from anyone about money. And that's what I'm supposed to go to the gym. Hey, give me that money. That's your money. You're not professional yet. You're still an amateur. You have not proven yourself as a professional or as an amateur for that matter, both these kids have it. Are they going to pay more money just to support you even more? No, thank you. No, thank you.
So, who's in charge of the ticket prices? The players?
We know that's the universities. I didn't say universities poor. I didn't say they were paid. There's plenty of good people. Plenty of people make a damn good living in the educational system today. Plenty of people.
Listen, you know, with NIL showed up and Eric saw those decals on those helmets and was like, emotional damage.
That's what some do rap to fans in the stands and everybody shoot their headphones down in his decal.
Listen.
I'll be the old man with this. I don't care. I'll be the old man. I'm not saying that some of these players should not be able to make deals to get themselves money. I'm not saying that these players don't deserve a little bit something if they perform well. But all I got to say is decals on the back of helmets. We can go on.
Yeah. Well, all right. That's how I feel about the Salt Life decal on the back of somebody's truck who lives in Northwest Ohio.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I will agree with
that. Not to mention, it looks like Slut Life. Sometimes you glance.
Never thought about it.
Just out of the corner of the eye when you catch it. You catch the U, like you catch the T, the S, and the L, and you're like, Slut Life. What?
Anyway. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all right. If you guys don't know, you guys listening on the podcast, I root for Ohio State. Although I'm not a diehard. Like these guys will admit they spent a season on this podcast with me, and I'm not an Ohio State homer. I don't cry, I don't lose. However, Kurt and Hunter, we all know Kurt and Hunter are Michigan fans, diehard to the bone. They'll cry. If like Toledo came in and beat them or Appalachian State, they would cry. And then Eric, of course, he's Mr. Independent. So we got the Democrats and the Republicans, the blue and the red, and then we got RFK over here, Mr. Independent, who is no longer independent, but anyway, with the Notre Dame. Pretty soon, Notre Dame will do the same thing. They'll go with the highest bidder, and join a conference one of these days.
Been hearing that story for 37 years now. 37, maybe 38. Been hearing that story. Same story.
I know, but 22 of those years, they weren't making enough money. Now it's $1 billion thing, so it's more money involved in that probably. In my case, we were just talking about it. We'll stop talking about money because when we talk about money, Eric receives emotional damage. Okay.
Wow.
Sorry.
I never said people are supposed to get paid. I just think it's weird people got decals on the back of their helmets. But anyway.
So let me ask you guys this, Kurt and Hunter, since we're both Big Ten favorites here, that teams, who is in the Big Ten? 'Cause we got some new teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who are the new teams, Hunter?
So it's Oregon, UCLA, Washington, USC.
And I don't think that's going to matter this season. It'll matter eventually, but I don't think it's going to matter this season. I think it's still going to be between the two top big dogs, in my opinion. What do you think about that, Kurt? Do you think that it's going to play a factor, the new teams coming into the Big Ten?
Yeah.
Why, though?
The only one that I really think has a good shot is Oregon.
They just don't play defense. That's and we talked about it, and I'm not going to beat the dead horse because I do it all the time in the podcast with the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
They just they haven't had enough time in the Big Ten yet to start realizing that they need to build a better defense. They're all about their offense, which is cool. But in the Big Ten, you need to play with some defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think to a certain degree, because even though they might not be coming in with a physical mantra, tough defense attitude, we don't really have any potent offenses over here. Offensive-wise, like Big Ten outside of Ohio State, Michigan is kind of a joke, offensively speaking.
Yeah, but every time the Big Ten, other than like Ohio State flops a lot, not flops, but they get their butts kicked in sometimes for no reason, especially like early on in the season. Like they don't really get going until like the third or fourth game of the season. When Pac-12 teams come late in the season, they get their asses beat by the heavier SEC and Big Ten teams. I mean, that's why like I had no faith in Washington beating Michigan. They don't play defense. Yeah, they could score, but they weren't going to beat Michigan's defense. It's not like Michigan was like a Pac-12 high octane offense, right? As a hard-nosed team. Listen, a hard-nosed team, and I guess that's where I'm going more. That the Big Ten is more filled with hard-nosed teams than they are these finesse speed teams. Like, I mean, let's look at even the history. Oregon goes to. I mean, they play Ohio State in the first college football playoff championship game, and they get their teeth kicked in because they're a finesse team, not a hard-nosed team. Ohio State comes in and runs the ball with Zeke, has a good defense. I mean, it was a boring game.
That's an NFL.
You're not wrong. It wasn't a game. It wasn't really a good game.
No.
But I like Oregon's coach, and out of the 4 or 5 Pac-12 teams coming over, I think they have the best shot this season. I just think they need one more year with the recruiting pool of the Big Ten and stuff like that before they start becoming more of a hard-nosed defense. As you know, I still think that the winner is going to come from, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Ohio State, stuff like that, rather than UCLA, USC, and Oregon. Yeah, definitely not the other ones.
Right. So, Eric, you're the outsider in all this when it comes to the Big Ten. What do you think?
I think Oregon's going to take it. I think you've got a Heisman candidate for their quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. I certainly do respect the team that Ryan Day has put together. I mean, at the end of the day, though, Oregon is speed, 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 speed. I mean, they can get into a shootout with an Ohio State. They can get into a shootout against the Michigan. I'm looking at their schedule right now, and outside of the Ohio State and Michigan game, they're going to win all their games. They're going to win all their conference games. They got to play Wisconsin, Maryland, Purdue. And then you got to play, Michigan State. They're going to win those games. So you knock off Michigan or you knock off Ohio State in a close game, you're going to be right in the conference championship. And who knows, man? Oregon is a team that's been in the playoffs. They have experience there. I understand it's a Pac-12 defense, but at the end of the day, they got a great offense, and great offenses can sometimes cover up if you have deficiencies in defense. So I do believe that ultimately Oregon will win the conference, and Ohio State will probably finish second.
Yeah, I don't know about that because they might beat Ohio State. Looking into it, because Ohio State has to go to Oregon, but Oregon's got to come to the Big House in November.
What's Michigan going to?
I don't think.
What's Michigan look like this year? They lost a lot of their offense. They lost their head coach. I mean, what does Michigan look like? What are they going to look like when you get there? And I mean, you're playing in November.
I mean, Michigan's probably going to be a top 10 team at least. I don't know about top 5 just because the schedule is really weird now. And with the new coach, I'm not quite sure. But it's still November at the Big House. I mean, It's like any other team. It's still, I mean, Penn State can suck, but to go to that whiteout game is still a pain in the ass for any team to play. So, and in November, I mean, so if Oregon has to go that late in the season, I don't know. That's going to affect their standings in the conference if they can't beat Michigan. So that's a must-win game right there. Ohio State, you're absolutely right. But they got more of a chance to pull off the Ohio State game than they do the Michigan game simply because Ohio State has to travel cross country. So that's my opinion anyway. And don't count out Illinois. Illinois and Iowa, they got really tough defenses, speed or no speed. No matter how bad that their offense looks, they always got some stout defenses. And I think that's what I mean. Like, there's more stout defenses that they're going to have to face than what they used to in the Pac-12.
No,
and that's what they're going
absolutely.
to have to adjust to.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah, so I mean, you mentioned the Heisman, and you're absolutely correct. Dylan Gabriel is plus 500, but right behind him is Carson Beck from Georgia. But this is the guy that I kind of got my eye on, and this is a betting podcast too. So let's talk about odds. And Eric, if you talk to these guys, they'll tell you that I always go not for the sure thing, but what kind of is going to make you some money worth putting a few shekels down. Hence the Shekel Up podcast, right? Quinn Ewers plus 1,200. He's third, but plus 1,200 is pretty damn good money. And honestly, he's coming back and he's been looking good each year. If he can stay healthy, he's got a hell of a shot. More than Dylan Gabriel, because like I said, he's going to start. I would stay away from Dylan Gabriel just because he is coming to the Big Ten where there's a bunch of stout offenses or defenses. He might win some games still. He could pull out some games, but they're going to look pretty close, and who knows what he's going to look like. In my opinion, I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, Quinn Ewers is going into the SEC now.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, he's got some. I mean, yeah, he's seasoned, so that's good for me there. Then you got Jalen Milroe from Alabama, and I'd stay away from that. I mean, new coach. He didn't look good last year at all. I mean, maybe for the running touchdowns, but this isn't 2008 anymore, where we glorify the running touchdowns like we did with Tim Tebow. So.
You watch your mouth. You watch your mouth.
No, not Tebow. Tebow was a dog, and I mean that literally and
both
figuratively.
Both of them. You watch your mouth about both of them.
But Timmy T, man, listen, it was almost like for a while there was like Kobe, where like we threw the ball and you were like Tebow. So
100%.
As far as the Heisman, what's your guys' opinion on that? I mean, like I said, I think good value for Quinn Ewers at plus 1,200 there is pretty good. Carson Beck, I don't know, maybe plus 800.
Yeah. So that's kind of, I guess I'll start, and I'll say this about Carson Beck for starters. I kind of like the storyline of Georgia, redemption year. They're a really good team. They're probably not going to have many losses. And I kind of like Carson Beck to be that, just that cover, that lead player for that team. And if they end up making a deep run this year, I would not be surprised at all to see him in the running just because of how good that Georgia team is going to be.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, right now, Texas is ranked, so with the Quinn Ewers, Texas is ranked 4th right now. But dude, them getting into the SEC, it's almost kind of like, and I'm not saying Texas isn't a tough, stout team, but you're going from Big 12 defenses, which are okay. They're not bad, but right off the bat, man, they play Colorado State, but then they got Michigan at the Big House.
Yeah.
And then they get a couple gimme games, UTSA and all that. Then they get Mississippi State. Then they get Oklahoma. Then Georgia. And then they get Vanderbilt. And then Florida, Arkansas, Kentucky. I mean, it's pretty rough. But yeah, I mean, so I that's a tough one for me too, as far as taking the value, but I still think it's good value there. If I asked you guys, this is we're in the Toledo area, and the MAC conference is okay, and usually Toledo chokes it away. But who do you think they got winning the MAC this year?
I was just looking at odds for this.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you to look. I want you to just tell me.
I'm going to go with Toledo. They've had, you know what? I mean, Toledo's had some good development in their players. We've seen in recent years, we've seen a lot of Toledo Rockets end up in the league. I mean, it obviously says something about, how good the coaching there is. And you know what? I mean, Toledo, I think, has even been ranked a couple times in the past couple of years. But just off the top of my head, I'd say Toledo is probably is my favorite because they know how to develop players.
I guess for me, I would say Toledo is probably a good choice. I mean, I think that with the loss of the quarterback, it could be a little bit that could make them less of a favorite than they would have been, because I think if Toledo returns with that team and that quarterback, it ends up they end up a pretty good team, and they have a really good chance to win that MAC conference. I guess to keep going a little bit further, I'll go into who I like for that conference, and I actually had Northern Illinois at plus 650. I like who they returned. They had a transfer quarterback come in. I know they had Rocky Lombardi at one point, but I like what Northern Illinois is doing. And at plus 650, that's where I decided to put my money. I think Toledo's not a bad bet, but I think that with them losing that quarterback, they could take a couple steps back. So I had my money on Northern Illinois to win the MAC.
Well, if that's the case, Hunter, you better go grab your purse, man, and go put some money down because they're a plus 700 right now.
No, yes, I already have my money. My own money is in. My money is down on Northern Illinois.
Like I said. And then Miami of Ohio is ranked the highest right now, and then they got Toledo in second. But
I couldn't think. I knew it was somebody like that. I couldn't think of who it would have been, though.
But check this out. This is kind of interesting. Bowling Green, third, plus 550.
What's surprising?
No. No.
They're just usually not at the
they're
top of everyone.
They're never near the top.
So that was pretty interesting. I have to ask, I know, because there's not obviously an independent conference odds section. There might be. I haven't really looked. I'm going to be totally honest. But
There's not.
Yeah,
there is, but
odds-wise, where do you think Notre Dame falls exactly when it comes to these playoffs and all that stuff, and who's going to make it and who may actually make the top 25? Do you think Notre Dame makes the top 25?
In what? If they played in a conference?
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking how you think they're going to do.
Well, we're getting after Saturday night. Notre Dame really has kind of a bit of an easy schedule. I mean, you got to go to Texas A&M. That's this weekend. I've been listening a lot about that game, and it could go either way. But other than that, I mean, you have Florida State. That's at home. You got to go to the Coliseum in Southern California this year. If Notre Dame Notre Dame is a good team. They have 11 guys that are starting for them on Saturday that are probably going to go to the NFL. I think Notre Dame could go as far as Marcus Freeman is going to take them. Leonard Riley, does he stay healthy? You've got two freshmen starting on the right side of your line. That could prove to be fatal at some point in the season. I'm going to go safe bet, and I'm going to say they'll probably drop at least one along the way. They'd finish up 11-1, but as long as you take care of business versus the Texas A&Ms and Florida State, you end up in the playoffs. It may not be where you want to be seated, but I would say 11-1. To be fair,
they'll make it. They're a minus 175 right now to make the playoffs, so those are pretty good odds. Obviously 12 teams get to make it. It's going to be a very interesting season. Will be. Just itching to see how it goes, especially now that teams know that they can still get into the playoffs. So now we get into a kind of a gray area where do they rest people towards the end of the season? Like what, hey, like no matter what, our seed's not going to change. So we're going to give like for instance, hear me out. What if the Ohio State and Michigan game doesn't matter?
That's going to be a very strong possibility.
I know. And it's weird. You want to know the other possibility is they could potentially play each other 3 times.
Yep.
In the span of like a month too. It's all on the back end of the season.
Could you imagine that?
I can. It would have happened the past 2 years.
Yeah.
If this was the format from the past, yeah, it would have happened the last few years. So,
and now like that would be nuts. Like just 3 Ohio State Michigan games, like. But the other side of that coin is that game might not matter at the end of the season. They might not play each other at all after that.
It takes away so much, I think.
So let me
ask you, so much from the rivalry aspect.
As diehard fans, does it matter to you? Would you be mad if Michigan sat starters and they lost against Ohio State? And would it even mean anything?
In this day and age, I gotta say no, especially if you're a Michigan team that's headed to the playoffs for sure. I think that caring about regular season games in general is almost a thing of the past completely with this new format.
But that's the biggest rivalry in college football. The biggest. And
like, would I rather see all my players play so we can beat them every single time or have the best chance to beat them every single time? Absolutely. But I also think if you're a Michigan team that's in a 4 or 5 spot and locked in there and not moving up or down regardless, you also got to think about playing more games to try to win another national championship. So I think that all that's got to go into play.
And then let me ask you: the Big Ten championship game doesn't matter.
Nope.
So what starts to like say like that stuff doesn't affect the seeding? At what point do you go? Like
it's irrelevant.
Where did you? Yeah.
Well, then what does affect the seeding? If we're already saying the regular season games don't matter and conference championships don't matter, I mean, what games matter? I mean,
my thing is, what I'm getting to is potentially like that last game might not matter, but say Ohio State or Michigan wins, and I'll say Michigan goes to the Big Ten title, and now that game might not matter. Because say like if they lose, but so what? And I'm asking. So I guess I'm asking, what would you guys rather have? Would you rather play for that Big Ten title and get the Big Ten championship, which would essentially be like a division title at this point, right? Because you have the playoffs to worry about to win a national title.
Yeah, I see it one of two ways. I see it as if winning your conference championship could potentially get you a bye week type of scenario.
Right.
I'm all in for that, but strategically wise, like strategy wise, it would make no sense.
It's interesting
to play your starters at all because you're showing your hand.
It's interesting to think about. Right?
I'd rather save my hand until we play in the playoffs.
Because it could even be like, okay, maybe the Ohio State Michigan game doesn't matter because Michigan, no matter what's playing in the Big Ten game, and they have to win that one, right? So, like that's where this falls. Like, oh, I can still keep this seed. I have to win the Big Ten title. Would I rather win this game and risk hurting my starters? Or do I want to win the Big Ten title? Like it's a lot of interesting things. What, Eric?
Wouldn't it matter for seeding though? Like I've heard in some situations the conference championship may play a factor in where they're actually seated. Is that not the case?
Yeah,
and maybe I'm just.
No, it does. I'm sure it does to an extent. I'm sure like conference winners and stuff like that. But like if say Alabama, their record's tied and they win their conference, and Michigan, like their record is the same record as Michigan, they win their conference. So the seeding kind of really doesn't matter. Now we're looking at like where's the tiebreaker there? Strength of schedule, or maybe Alabama plays first and Michigan needed Alabama to lose to move up at all. It doesn't, and then what happens to them doesn't matter because of the way the schedule fell or whatever. And Michigan goes into their Big Ten game and they're like, well, it doesn't matter if we win this game, our seeding doesn't change because Alabama won. We needed Alabama to lose in order to get that bye. What do you do?
I don't know.
It's interesting.
It absolutely is because this is going to be stuff that's going to be going down.
Right, because it could be something to where like Michigan plays at night and they needed something to happen during the day and it didn't happen the way they needed it to happen and the game might not matter. Then that's, I think, the only scenario that it may not happen is because, like you said, it is probably going to affect seeding in some way, but there'll probably be other scenarios where it doesn't affect it at all.
Based on your record, yeah.
Right. It's interesting. It's a new dynamic that is.
It's a new twist that we may or may not like. We'll just have to see.
Well, I got the odds up, and Eric was sitting there tooting the Ducks' horn there a little bit. He was quacking a little bit. And Oregon is a plus 200, but they are second. They are second to, which team do you guys think? Michigan or Ohio State?
Ohio State.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's Ohio State. Ohio State is a plus 145, a plus 200 to win, plus 145 to win the conference, and Oregon's a plus 200. Then you got Penn State at a plus 500. And damn, they did Michigan dirty. No, absolutely no confidence in Michigan, plus 900. And then from there, dude, it just drops. It drops by the thousands. USC plus 2,000, Iowa plus 3,900, Nebraska plus 500. So, and a 900 is not bad odds. I don't think anybody kind of knows what to expect from Michigan, right? With the new coach and stuff like that. I mean, do you guys look at that as disrespect, or is that fair?
I feel like I can see Oregon and Ohio State, but Penn State, that's comical to me.
Yeah.
That's laughable. Jewel is an absolute bum. James Franklin?
They're still trying it too, Kurt. They're still trying it. They're still trying to pump the LR train. They're trying to still keep it going.
And
they want to believe that he's the next one.
Yeah.
Listen,
next what?
Look, James Franklin is up there with Kelly for me now. Not Chip Kelly, but Brian Kelly.
Yep.
And I tell you what, because he tried to get the Eagles to lose draft picks by ratting them out, saying Saquon was talking to the Eagles beforehand. So, and even then, not Ben Franklin.
James Franklin.
James Franklin has been an idiot the last few seasons that he's coached. So,
I mean, they're solid and consistent, but they just can't beat the big dogs. He can't win big games.
That's when you hit the mute button, you bastard. Anyway,
But no, I don't. To answer your question earlier, I don't really view it as disrespectful because I can see why. There's just so many unknowns with the offense, new head coach, a lot of new moving parts.
Right.
Don't know what to expect.
Hunter, what about you? Because you watch Michigan everything. You watch Michigan hockey. You watch Michigan wrestling. You watch Michigan softball. You watch Michigan synchronized swimming.
Yes.
So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. At plus 900, I think that you have to look at the shape the team's in, everything that they lost, and also the additions to the conference. I mean, Ohio State going out and spending $20 million on their roster. Oregon coming in, still, hot off their one of their best seasons they've had in a long time last year, and I think that Dan Lanning looks to continue that momentum. So I think that when I look at it, especially from the outside looking in and not from a biased perspective, I think that plus 900 is probably pretty fair. I think that they have realistic expectations for Michigan this year, and it's definitely not the 15-0 national champion that they had last season. So I don't mind it. I don't hate it. I don't love it.
Right. What about the outsider here, Eric? Do you think that's disrespect to Michigan, or is that fair? Because I feel like that you kind of had Michigan rated a little bit higher than Ohio State the way you were chit-chatting.
I mean, I think Ohio State's a better team. Don't get me wrong. I mean, dude, I will not lie to you guys. Ohio State is a very impressive team. Inside and out, Ryan Day has built a great program. I mean, they got Will Howard. He's going to be running their offense. I mean, it's just, I don't think it's disrespectful, with all due respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think when you deal with Las Vegas, Vegas will give it to you cold, hard facts. That's what they give you. And the cold, hard facts that Las Vegas looks at is they see in Ohio State, they see in Oregon, they see these teams that are just, they have been built. And then they look at Michigan, and it's like Michigan lost everybody. So from a better standpoint, and I think most people would agree, you're going to go with a team that, looks a lot more formidable than Michigan does. But that's just for this year. I mean, once they get those kids coached up at Michigan, they'll be right back in it. But they might have to take one on the chin this year a couple times.
That's assuming that the new coach is a good coach. I mean, he filled in for a couple games, looked okay, but that was still Harbaugh's system. So,
Exactly.
That's what we got to find out is with any new coach. Sometimes you end up with a James Franklin or a Brian Kelly, and
Well, speaking
Don't
of
want
new
that.
coaches, and I hope you guys don't mind me segueing into this, but or
go ahead.
segueing to this, but
Segway.
one of the segue, excuse me,
There you
segue. Don't
go.
know where my mind is tonight. One of the games that I'm looking at this year or this week coming out, I will be watching it, and you're gonna laugh, but I'll explain why I feel this way. Is Alabama versus Western Kentucky University? I do not think Western Kentucky University is going to beat the University of Alabama. But new coach, quarterback, like Tony, like you said, didn't play that well last year. It's not Saban on the sidelines anymore. That's not a Saban coach team anymore. So I think just for the of what is Alabama going to look like this year, that is why I'm interested in the Alabama Western Kentucky game. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
Look,
that's just one of those games
listen.
I'm looking at this weekend, and because I want to know, okay, is Alabama still there, or are they going to be going through some growing pains too?
Well, let's look at it here because you're talking about Alabama, and they are ranked third at a plus 500. I got no interest. I got no interest in Alabama winning this conference at all. Um, you know, I just again with the coach and then not being it. I don't trust that quarterback. I mean, he did not look good. He didn't look like god awful. He had a couple of good games, but it's not like he was out there slinging it. Saban had to pull him a couple times.
Yeah.
So I mean, when your coach has to pull you, you can't sit there and tell me your highs.
He got benched for Tyler Buckner.
Yeah, and you're a Heisman candidate all of a sudden this year. What did you do? Did you fucking go put a robo arm on your shit last season? Like after last season, like what was going on? Like,
Yeah, Milroe was a very inconsistent thrower, but uber athletic, could scramble. Really more gifted as a runner than a thrower.
right,
Sure.
and I think teams will catch on to that too this season. Like, and they'll have Georgia will still have its good stuff. It'll still have a good line. It'll still have a good running back. Their defense will probably still be okay solid for some of their recruits, unless a lot of them hit the transfer portal. But I mean, it's still. Did I say Georgia? I said Georgia, didn't I?
Yeah.
I said I'm at Alabama. My dumbass. Anyway, so everything I just said, that was about Alabama.
Well, I mean, here's Alabama's schedule. They start off with Western Kentucky, then you play South Florida. Those are both home games. Then you go to Wisconsin. Then you're playing Georgia at Bama, at Vandy, versus South Carolina. Lucky you get that game in South Carolina, or you getting that
Sounds
game
like
in
a
Bama, not South
cakewalk.
Carolina.
Almost.
Then you got three ranked teams in a row. When you got to go to Tennessee, you come back and play Missouri. You're at LSU. You get a cookie cake game in Mercer, and then you got to play Oklahoma, and then you finish the year with your arch nemesis, the Auburn Tigers, War Eagle.
Yeah, well, you just said it. Like, so Arkansas is like plus 40,000 to win this. South Carolina is plus like 20,000 to win. I mean, they're at the bottom of the barrel. Auburn is ranked like 11,000 to even touch this. I mean, so like all these teams, Kurt's absolutely right. I'm not saying that like the SEC is a cakewalk, but they aren't playing a lot of good teams this year. And my money, the value pick here for conference winner for the SEC is Texas, plus 370.
I'd feel more confident in them than Bama, that's for sure.
And they're second to Georgia at a plus 180. And right after them is Alabama at a plus 500.
Who was didn't Washington's head coach leave them for Bama? Isn't he their new head coach?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I believe so.
Texas,
that's an interesting transition.
Texas's schedule is much easier to navigate than Alabama's at this point right now.
Yeah,
I would definitely pick Texas.
Yeah, that's like I said, value there. So when you go and you will put your money down, yeah, you can put it. I mean, yeah, put put some money down on the guaranteed winner. But if you're doing futures, anytime you're doing futures, it's the value pick. I mean, because you got to wait a whole season for it to happen, and it's a long season to wait. Speaking about the long season, who do you think is ranked the highest to win the national title?
Is it who you're wearing?
No, surprisingly not. And they're
That's
actually
That's very surprising.
Yeah, so Georgia is a plus 280 to win the national title. Ohio State is second. But it's a decent drop. Plus 400.
Wow. They're pretty high in Georgia then.
Yeah. And the Ducks are plus 650 after that. So it jumps up a little bit more. And then Texas is a plus 850. Alabama 1400. So they're still giving Alabama some love.
A lot of love.
Like, then
a lot of love.
And then at 7th, under at least 2,000 is Notre Dame plus 1,800. You were saying there's a lot of Penn State love. Right underneath Notre Dame, top 10, 2,000 plus 2,000 for Penn State to win the national title.
Donation.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, donation.
Over Michigan at a plus 3,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're not winning the Natty, but I know for sure Penn State shouldn't be in the top 10. That's crazy.
It's
comical.
I'll tell you what. If Texas can get to the Final Four in these playoffs, watch out. Because I think that Texas will be capable, after going through a gauntlet of an SEC schedule and getting the callus going, they can beat Oregon, Ohio State, or Georgia. In my opinion, I just don't see. I think Texas was ready to jump into the SEC. I think as long as Ewers can stay healthy,
yeah,
they got a shot. And I think that's going to be the bigger
without
issue.
him though, they got Youngblood Manning underneath them.
Yeah.
I don't know if he transferred though.
Don't give me that shit, Manning.
I think he's still there.
Manning.
Pretty sure he's still there.
What do you think about that top? Eric? What do you think about your boys being like 7th? You think they got a shot?
They got a shot. They always got a shot. Notre Dame, wins overall, no matter the odds, great or small. But I don't know. I don't know if they're ready this year. They could go undefeated. They could make it to the college football playoffs. They might even win a playoff game. I just don't know that they're there yet when it comes to their receivers or their offensive line or their quarterback. And I think in the end, one of those three positions is going to cost them somewhere up along the line. And so I appreciate the love they have given Notre Dame, but I don't know if it's not Notre Dame's year this year. Just it's going to have to be down the road.
Well, yeah, no, that's fair, and
I'm
just
trying
don't know
not to be
about
too
that.
much of a homer. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to be too much of a homer, but at the end of the day, I just have to call it like I see it. And Notre Dame is a very talented team, and I'm glad. Trust me, I'm really happy for it. And if they win the championship, I'll be ecstatic. But at this point, when I look at the top 25 and I see some of the teams in it, or at least the top 5, and I see the teams in it, it'd be tough. It'd be tough.
Yeah, it is going to be tough. And you know what, fellas? Let's get into the segment of the show. Everybody knows this segment. It is our pick segment, and we're just talking about them. Notre Dame is going to a top 20 team immediately in Texas A&M. It is a 2.5 point line. Notre Dame are the underdogs. The over-under is 46.5. So the thinking is going to be roughly under 30-point game. Roughly. So I don't know, man. Is your offense is it cooking? I mean, it's a 2.5 point line is pretty low, and I'm gonna go out on the limb. I'll go first, show you how this works, because Eric, there is a science to this,
Is there?
and the boys
Okay.
yes, there is a science, because when you're gambling, the home field advantage is a +3, 3.5, sometimes 4. You can let 4
Mhm.
go. So, or not plus, like, so the the away team should be a +4, +3, somewhere in that range. Home field should be -3, -4, somewhere in that range. With the Notre Dame and Texas A&M game, it's a +2.5. So that tells me that money is going Notre Dame's way. Going Notre Dame's way. That's why that line is coming down. So pay attention to it. If that number shoots back up to 4 by Friday, and you haven't put money on that game yet, I would bet Texas A&M. But if that number keeps continuing going down Thursday, Friday, that means that all the sharp money is being put on Notre Dame. But right now, with 2.5 points, I take Notre Dame. I'd even take Notre Dame. You know what? I even go on a limb and say take them on the money line. You're going to get more for your buck, plus 126, and you don't even got to worry about the points. They just win the game.
I would
So
take
give me
it.
Notre Dame outright. Yeah. What do you guys think? You guys on board with that, Kurt, Hunter? Because this is the round table. We check that local bets, our favorite teams. So that's your favorite team, Eric.
Yeah. When it comes to this game, Saturday night, I do like Notre Dame to cover the 2.5. I like their defense. They always have a solid defense. I know what's his name, Benjamin Morrison.
Yep.
Is one of the best defensive backs in the country. And Freeman's always got a solid defensive unit, though the offense, it's probably gonna be a lower scoring game, which is why the over under is 30ish. But I think Notre Dame definitely keeps the Texas A&M Aggies to a low scoring kind of game. So 2.5. They'll stay within 2.5.
Yeah, I think for this one, I know Eric mentioned it, talking about some of the downfalls of Notre Dame. I think that O-line play could haunt them, especially early in the season, playing a true freshman that hadn't played yet in a really big game at night. I think the lights just could be a little bit too bright. I'm definitely waiting to see which way, see a little bit more reports come out about each team. But if you can get Texas A&M with some plus money, I'm probably taking it, to be honest.
Eric, I need your analysis, man. Tell me why. Tell me why that.
Y'all ready for this? You ready for this? Okay.
Yeah.
This Saturday night, under the bright skies of the Texas night, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are going head to head with the Texas A&M Aggies. As a Notre Dame fan, I've never been more nervous before a game. And I've been a part of some games. I am very nervous about how this game is going to play out because you're starting 2 right tackles against a defensive end in Sweeney from Texas A&M, who is probably going to be going in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft next year. They've got some really good cornerbacks. They've got a good safety. Man, I think it all comes down to how Marcus Freeman can coach his team. Notre Dame versus Ohio State last year is a perfect example. It was a very tight game. It was I thought it was very evenly played on both sides. I think both teams showcased what they could do. But what happened at the end of that game? Ohio State lined up with 11 guys on offense, and Notre Dame lined up with 10 guys on defense. And Ohio State went right over the middle because there was no one there to stop him. You can't have those mistakes going into College Station and expect to win. Leonard Riley is going to have to stay upright for Notre Dame to win this game. I think Notre Dame is the more talented team for the reasons I just stated. They're the better ranked team. But we've seen Alabama go to Texas A&M when these are Nick Saban coach teams, go into Texas A&M and be beaten by them. So it's going to be a very hostile environment, and Freeman's going to have to find a way to win. He is. I hope he. The good news is they got Mike Dent back. I think that'll help out the offense. I mean, he's just coaching a Heisman Trophy winner, and he gets to come back and coach Riley Leonard, which is obviously great. But I don't know, man. I think Notre Dame ekes it out. But I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M wins this game.
Yeah, well, it's straight across the board. We all thinking that it's going to be it's going to be the
Notre Dame
Irish.
victory. Let's go.
All right, guys. So again, we go around. Who wants to go next? You guys want to do the Michigan game next? You guys excited for the Michigan game?
Oh, boy. Of course I'm excited for that game. What kind of question is that?
Well, you tell me, Hunter. What are you thinking? What are you reading into that game since you're so excited?
So, I see the lines hovering around 20 for that game, and I'm very, very. I don't know. I definitely won't be touching that point spread week one. I gotta at least see Orgy take a couple passes before I put any of my money on Michigan. But I think that I don't know. I think that Michigan's defense should allow them to coast to an easy win, but I don't know exactly by how much points. And I think that Michigan will be a very hard team to bet on week one, or at least to start the season, due to the uncertainties on offense. And having playing Texas week two is insane. I think that'll probably be a really close couple point line in that game. And you get one warm up game with Fresno State, and then it's right into Texas.
Yeah, I don't. It's and they might be looking ahead too. So I don't know, Kurt. What do you think?
As far as the game Saturday night, I am liking I think the Wolverines cover that 20-point spread. I know the defense is gonna clamp who's ever playing Fresno State. I'm not worried about that. And I think the running game's gonna take a minute to get rolling, but we'll eventually break a couple. Got some long drives, get some touchdowns, and I see no reason we can't win this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I probably will give it to Michigan too. Even with the points, the 20 points doesn't really scare me. Now, if that goes up to like 25, then maybe no, maybe not. But three more touchdowns, yeah, why not? Why the hell not? Now, Eric, I kind of explained. Now, college football is a little different when it comes to betting the point line. When betting the point line, you got to kind of read it. Like, are they going to run up the score? Is it a team that they can even run up on the score on? And you really got to kind of look into it and just see how the team plays. I think that Michigan more or less can stop Fresno State, as opposed to Michigan balling out and like having this total offensive game. I think that they can just keep stopping Fresno State, and it would be like a 25 to like 7 or a 30 to 7 game, and it will cover the points. So I can see that happening. So with that said, roughly, would you take Michigan with a minus 20? Advantage. What are you thinking?
You know what? For the sake of unity with my fellow podcasters here, I'm going to say yes. Michigan, still very talented. Fresno State is still very not. And I mean, the cream always, as Macho Man Randy Savage used to say, the cream always rises to the top. So I could see them coming out, maybe a bump in the road early, but I don't see Fresno State really being a challenge to Michigan. They start off the year 1-0. And if you guys know something about Fresno State that I don't. But,
Well, no, they're gonna. Now Michigan's gonna win the game. It's more or less like, are they going to win it by 21 points?
I would say so.
Pretty much.
I would feel comfortable taking that bet.
Yeah. You know what I don't feel comfortable in? This Ohio State line. I just don't like them big lines on these small
50,
teams.
and Ryan Day don't ever cover. He can't cover a spread to save his life.
But here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to do.
49.
Hold on. Yeah. So I'm going to go out here and I am going to say that Ohio State covers against Akron. Let me tell you why. Because this is no longer Ryan Day's team. Okay? His offense, anyway. Chip Kelly. You know, let's give one for Chip Kelly here.
This guy stinks! Fucking right in the pussy.
Chip Kelly's offense is going to score points on Akron. I am going to take that to the bank, and I will take Ohio State at the 48.5. It hurts, but it's a different. It's going to be a different play calling offense. So it's not going to be Ryan Day's play calling anymore. Let's face it, is bad, especially in crucial moments. He's a bad play caller. They didn't bring Chip Kelly in for Chip Kelly to go, sure, Ryan, go ahead and call the plays. He's got too strong of a personality, Chip Kelly does, for Chip Kelly to be like, yep, go ahead, I'll sit down. I'll shut up. We don't. I mean, is that fair? I mean, do we think that Chip Kelly's not going to be calling plays?
I mean, that's his job. Otherwise, why is he there?
I mean, they had an offensive coordinator and his job to do it last year, and he didn't.
I mean, some coordinators are fine being assistants to the coaches calling plays or running defenses, but I mean, when you bring in an outside hire, usually that's kind of like already negotiated beforehand. Like, yo, am I calling plays or am I just kind of your puppet? But I guess getting back to this line, I think 49.
48.5. So they got to score 49 or 50 on Akron. It's not like this is some. I mean, it's Akron.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's just a little bit too much.
It's haters.
You know, I know
haters. They're hating. That's what it is. They just can't say Ohio State to score 50 on Akron. All right, it's fine.
I gotta see Will Howard. I don't want to see it, but Will Howard. Let's see what Ibuka does as the number one, and let's see what Judkins is about. I mean, this dude's a cheat code on NCAA 25, the game, so let's see what he do.
All right, Hunter.
So, I mean, I don't think there's any way for me to say this without you calling me a hater, but I just don't. I'm looking at track records. I do think you brought up Chip Kelly, and I didn't really think about him and taking over for Ryan, because that was going to be one of my main points, is how bad Ryan Day is as a play caller, and why he could never put up 50 points to begin with, as an offense, let alone cover the 50-point spread.
Yeah, I mean, Chip Kelly is the originator of the Pac-12 speed offense. I mean, he started it out there in Oregon, so
yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't see that. I mean, he changes it a little bit, but that's what he does. He puts up points, and that's what he's always done. Even at UCLA, even though he was bad coach out there, they're putting up points.
50 points is a lot, and I think
on Akron. Okay, if they were playing like Oklahoma or something like that,
I'm taking all that into consideration. It's still 50 points. Like, that's a lot, because they could possibly get like a field goal or maybe like a touchdown on your backups maybe at the end of the game. And I just think 50 points to cover and have them not get anything, I think it'll probably be close. I think it could be like a 42 to 45 point line.
I thought you meant it was going to be a close game. I was
like,
no, you're hating if you think it's going to be a close game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an Akron 3-point win. Book it.
Oh shit! That's they don't even have the money line up. I can't even check that for you.
Usually, when the spread's that big, you can only bet on the spread. They usually don't even give you a money line odds.
If it helps, the over under is 59. It's 58.5. And so you're telling unless you think Akron's going to put up a 30 burger. Eric, what do you think about this game? Do you think Ohio State can beat Akron by at least 49 points?
You know, I'm looking at Akron 2023 stats. They gave up 200 yards a game. they gave up on average. They gave up 28 points on average. They recruited a left guard that was ranked at 46. Um,
You have
yes,
to go to the
Ohio
beginning of the
State.
season.
Yes, if that's what I'm looking at, facing an Ohio State team who has wide receivers that are already basically talking with their agents about next year and where they want to go in the draft, um, it I could see Ohio State winning 60-3 and you cover the spread. So if there was one shot you were going to take this weekend, I would take Ohio State. If Akron scores more than 3 points on them, I would be absolutely surprised. I think Ohio State's water boy is probably better than half of Akron's team is.
Good. We're split down the middle. Go figure. The two Michigan guys going for Michigan, going against Ohio State, and then the other two that aren't quite Michigan fans pulling for Ohio State. Because they're local, we do talk about the game a little bit. Toledo versus Duquesne. 28 points. Toledo's favored by 28.5. I don't know. Toledo can be a little fugazi. Sometimes I don't think I have to really see it, but I will say that the over-under is 52.5, which means they think a lot of points are going to be scored, but Toledo is on the money line a minus 10,000. So with those numbers, I am going to take the minus 28.5 with Toledo. I think Toledo probably beats Duquesne by 30. Toledo's been a pretty good squad, like with offense, and I mean they've been pretty decent. I can't really complain. Yeah. What do you guys think about Toledo? They gonna pull off by 30 points at least, or with that information?
I hope so. I hope it's like that. I'll be there to watch that game tomorrow. That'll be really cool to see UT Stadium again and just experiencing a UT game because I don't get to go to a lot of those. So I'm excited for that tomorrow.
Well, why not? See, you know what? You guys are talking about how expensive tickets are and stuff like that. You can go get yourself a nice little home. What do you call that? Season ticket pass for like $150, $200 and go get yourself like 10 games and probably discounts on snacks there. I love going to the Glass Bowl, to be honest with you. It's a good time. It's usually chill. It's not packed. No drama. Yeah.
Yep. I'm very excited for them to open the season. I can't wait to see how the quarterback looks that's going to take over for the guy that transferred out. And just some more, college football to watch. And
by the way, he's a bitch. I hope he fucking loses every game. I don't wish pain on him or anything like that, but I don't know. Kurt, what do you think about the Toledo game?
Yeah, I think they'll open up with a big W at home tomorrow night and cover the 28-point spread.
Awesome. Eric, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I'm still trying to figure out where Dufresne is.
Duquesne.
Yeah.
They're a
Division
basketball
2 team.
school.
Yeah, there's something. They're a Division 2 team. Yeah, go ahead and bet Toledo in the points. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know what I mean? Like, go Rockets.
Go Rockets.
Go Rockets.
Go Rockets. All right, so this is a segment now where we go into our 3 random picks, all right? So if you got a couple of picks that you like, couple games, I got my eye on, and it's a weird line. I don't know if it's me or if it's something that I'm not seeing, but Colorado is only a 9.5-point favorite against North Dakota State.
Ooh, that makes sense.
North Dakota State, though, they got their own little national championship outside of the actual CFB college championship. And you can't. Dion has got. Come on now. Shador, Travis Hunter. Nah, man. Colorado, give me Colorado, minus 9.5. I don't understand that at all. There ain't no way North Dakota's even cutting it close to Colorado. I mean, right? And my second game that I'm looking at here is We're going to go down to North Carolina. They're at Minnesota. North Carolina is a minus 1.5 point favorite. Give me North Carolina. They're going into Minnesota, and Minnesota is only a plus 1.5 at home. That's not gonna fly for me. Well, how are you an underdog at home? Sorry, but give me North Carolina. Give me that while it's hot, because that's probably gonna change. That's probably gonna go up a little bit. It's gonna go back and forth. Go ahead and snatch that sucker up. Ohio State, we were talking about the money line, or not the money line, but the point spread, and they are one of the highest point spreads this weekend. I mean,
definitely.
A couple of them are touching it a little bit, but I mean, I just don't know. Penn State's so great that they're a minus 8.5 point favorite against the West Virginia Mountaineers. They're ranked 8th, by the way, and the Mountaineers are not ranked.
Yeah, you watch, that game will be close.
Well, I know that's just, but Penn State's so good.
I'm telling you about that. I'm telling you that West Virginia game is going to be close.
Not a quarterback to sleep on. Gilbert Green is not a quarterback to sleep on.
With that said, that's not the game I'm going with. I'm going to go over to Texas, their home game, their home opener against Colorado State. They are a minus 31.5 point favorite, a minus 1,000 on the money line. The over-under is 60. Give me Texas with the minus 31.5 points. And those are my 3 games. What do you, Hunter, what do you got over there, man? You got anything good for us? Oh,
yeah,
no. Wait. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to just give Eric a little preference on this, that Hunter likes to steal all of Kurt's games.
Every week. At least 1 or 2.
Yep. Yeah. That.
Go ahead, Hunter.
That's true. That's all I was going to say. Go ahead. I was going to say that's definitely true.
Well,
that's why I have backups ready.
I want to keep my eye out because I couldn't believe the line on it. That's Georgia Clemson. Georgia's favored by 13.5 points. There's Clemson. I can't believe that a Dabo Swinney team is going to get beat by 14 points. I mean, he's a great coach. They still get great talent in there. So I think that's going to be a really interesting game, Georgia Clemson. Also, and I promise this is not because of who their coach is, but look at number 23 USC versus number 13 LSU, because I think this game has a lot more storylines than people want to give it credit for. This could potentially put one of these coaches on the hot seat should they not win. Brian Kelly has lost his first 2 home openers at LSU, and now he's going to play USC. That's a really good offense. LSU did not have a good defense last year. LSU is favored in this game, and I do believe they will win because my hate for USC is just that much more than it is for Brian Kelly. I still would pick LSU in that game. And then lastly, I like that Miami-Florida game. That's a right Miami team going 2 Gainesville. Miami is a 2.5 favorite. But can we trust Miami? That's my question. Can we really trust Miami when they take the knee? But
we gotta have a meeting before you show.
I think that's what it was. I'm going to say that Miami gets Florida at Florida, and that's my top games of the week outside of Notre Dame, Texas A&M.
All right, so I'm just gonna throw Kurt under the bus and have Hunter go next, so that way
the Robs took enough.
Got it. Well, I'm gonna go. I have a couple that were the same as you. I'm gonna go away from that though. I'll start with Sacramento State and San Jose State. There's a bet that you could have placed, which is the FCS versus FBS, and it's over 6.5 wins for the FCS teams to beat the Division I teams. And I like the chance of Sacramento State beating San Jose State and adding to that because I did take the over 6.5 FCS wins. So I like Sacramento State plus 4 against San Jose State. A good tidbit of information about that LSU USC game is also it's on a Sunday, an isolated Sunday, so the whole world is watching. That'll be a night game Sunday night. So that's the only game on football wise on that Sunday, and it just gives that much more opportunity for people to watch these teams. I guess I'll go into. I like Minnesota +2. I think PJ Fleck has a really good defense, and Minnesota has always played really, really, really good at home. I think that PJ Fleck is entering a make or break year because I could see him getting fired at the end of the year if this does not go his way in Minnesota this season. With that being said, I like Minnesota plus the 2 points against North Carolina.
So we're going head to head on that one, huh?
Absolutely. And
Dang.
then more of a lean would have been North Dakota State +10. I think that I like Colorado to come out. I like them to start fast, get a quick touchdown, and then start to celebrate like they've won the game by 3 or 4 touchdowns after just that first touchdown. I think Shadur Sanders scores, probably gets the crowd into it. And I think just as the game goes on, Colorado fails to pull away. And at +10 right now, like that line is, I like that game to at least be a 10-point game or a 10-point win for Colorado. So at +10.5, I will absolutely take that for North Dakota State.
This is why I go first. Hunter would have took 2 of my bets, 2 of my games. But, hey, what do I know? So that's why I go first. I ain't got to worry about nothing. I can take all your guys's. All right, Kurt. I know you had a few that were taken, but was it the games that were taken, or was it both teams also too? Like, were you taking those same teams?
Oh,
like, because at least Hunter went the other way.
Yeah, I had LSU covering the -4.5. And then with the Battle of Florida, I had Florida staying within +2.5.
Okay.
All
right.
Hold on. One more that I wanted to get out there.
One more. No, you did your 3.
Come on, let me get one more. It's a bonus one.
If you take Kurt, I'd let Kurt finish, and then you get the bonus one.
Oh, you didn't finish? Oh, yeah, finish up first. I thought you went through.
I'd have left. There would be no outro. It would just be a cut. It would just be as.
Okay, I'll just say 2 of them. I got the Miami Redhawks going to Northwestern +2.5. I got the Redhawks staying within 2.5.
Okay.
Potential upset too. And then another one I have, South Dakota State going to Oklahoma State. The line on that is Oklahoma State -9.5. I think they cover that.
Well, yeah, but which is crazy too because it's an unranked team. Okay, here and there going against a ranked team, and it's like, man, why are you having? Why
I'm
at
pretty
least
sure Oklahoma State's running back is out. I think he got in trouble, and I think he's out the first couple games.
Yeah, but you got like 7 more 5-star recruits behind that. Like, so I get it. What's the bonus one, Hunter? What are you thinking over there?
So UCLA is taking on Hawaii. UCLA has to travel to Hawaii, and the line is at 14 points in favor of UCLA on the road. I do not think this UCLA team will fare very well. Either one of the Big Ten. I think they will be one of the worst teams, in fact. And I think that game could potentially, or the season could potentially start with a Week 1 upset in Honolulu, Hawaii. The line is at 14, and I will absolutely take Hawaii +14. But at +450 on the money line for Hawaii, I will definitely be sprinkling some on the money line for them as well.
All right. So hopefully you guys wrote down your bets, wrote down the teams you picked, and we will revisit this a little bit and see how you did. Eric, make sure you write your point spread down and all that, so that way we can come back and see how well you did. Maybe the people would want to listen to you a little bit more than the other 3. Now they got 4 people to pick from here to see who's an idiot, who's not an idiot, and knows what they're talking about a little bit. I prefer college football is a little for me, but NFL is really my forte when it comes to sports gambling. So, I'm going to tease it a little bit. The NFL starts next week. Yes, it is time for some professional football. I know you guys are college nerds, but NFL is king, baby. NFL is king.
To this day.
Yeah. Except for like the Steelers, because Russell Wilson is the starter now. We heard that. That's the big news coming out of Pittsburgh, man. But we'll see. But if you guys enjoyed this episode of the Shekel Up Podcast, please go like and subscribe and follow us on all of our social media platforms. Go to over any podcast services that you stream on and leave us a review. It helps others find the podcast, and we enjoy reading them as well. If you have any cares, questions, or concerns, you can email us at shekuluppodcast@gmail.com. You can find Kurt and Hunter on everything at Made on Ridgeway Sports Podcast. Go over to Twitter and follow myself at AnnieUpAnthony. You can go follow Hunter at Hunter_Keister4. Follow K-Mac at K_Mac7. Thank you for listening, everyone. And remember, do not bet your mortgage.